It's kitchen tour time! I'm going to show you some of the things that we do in the kitchen and how we have it set up. So it's a little bit of a cloudy and rainy day, so I thought it'd be a fun time to go ahead and show you around my kitchen and just some of the things that I have. Some of you have wanted to see some of my Corelle dishes and Fire King, some of which is my grandmother's collection, but some that I have actually found in yard sales and thrift stores. So let's go ahead and turn the camera around and I will show you some of this kitchen secrets. First off, this kitchen was built in 1955. You'll have to excuse the baby gates because I have a dog that has irritable bowel syndrome. And if I don't put the baby gate up, look who shows up to try to get some tidbits that Mama might drop on the floor while cooking. I know, but it hurts her little stomach, so we have to keep her safe. And now you'll notice above my sink area all these little hints of green, and that's because there is a greenhouse on the other side of this kitchen wall. There's the door that leads into it, and I've pulled in some of my plants because it's getting a little bit cold in Tennessee. And I also have lots of little succulents that are on my windowsill, because I think it's so important, especially during the fall and winter months, to be able to see a little bit of green. And now throughout my kitchen, you will see I've got little collections of salt and pepper shakers. Most of them, you can see I've actually damaged the paint by hitting it with the pots and pans as I'm washing dishes. But you will notice that I have quite a few of these little salt and pepper shakers sitting around the kitchen, and that comes from my grandmother's collection, except for these, the unicorn and the Pegasus, I actually picked up at something called the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which I would highly recommend going to. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't cost hardly anything at all, and you will come out with a much deeper appreciation for salt and pepper shakers. But you probably know that during the 1950s, probably into the 60s, it was kind of the vogue thing to collect salt and pepper shakers. My grandmother did it. Her sisters did it. I'm pretty sure everyone's great aunts and grandmas did it. And I ended up with quite a few. Now, because my kitchen is quite small, I only kept the ones that I thought were really unique, like this little camel. I absolutely love this one. I think that is really cute and unusual. I've never seen one like that. I also love Here Lies Pepper and Here Lies Salt. Kind of macabre, but they're cute little tombstones nonetheless. And I got this little set right here, which I thought was super cute also. Now, when we first moved in, this kitchen was functional, but a little bit on the rough side. And it actually took me a couple of years to think about what I might want to do with the kitchen. And I really studied a lot of 1950s advertisements for kitchens on Pinterest. And finally, I saw this color and I just knew that was it. Now, this bottom shelf here is not very unique or interesting. I don't have a lot of antiques except for our very first dinnerware set we got when we got married in 2007. This is an original set from the 1950s. You can see there it is a Pyrex. It came in a few different colors, red being the most popular, but that's kind of hard to get and the most expensive. They also had a green, and then of course this pretty blue. Now this set in particular, my mom found in a yard sale. She bought it, had it for several years, and then when we got married, she decided that she was going to let us have them because they're just super cool, and she knew I really liked vintage things. There's just one problem with these dishes. they are super, super heavy. They're heavy without food. And then when you put a ton of food on it, which we usually do, you're going to get way heavier. And so when I would have guests over for a dinner party, or if my grandmother, was over for dinner, some of them had a hard time carrying or holding those plates, especially if you're older, like my grandmother. It was a pretty heavy plate for her. So we kept them. Me and my husband used them from time to time, but our day-to-day set is this really lightweight and very practical set of Corelle. Now, you'll notice I have a few different kinds of Corelle. That's because if I saw them in yard sales, I would go ahead and pick up the couple of plates that they might have, just in case I had people over, so I had extras if I needed them. Now, my grandmother was very big into Corelle as I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, and this is actually some of the plates from her set that she had purchased in the 1970s, and I am sure that almost everyone that's going to watch this particular video will remember this exact pattern, because I'm pretty sure I've seen it in every yard sale, every thrift store, and every antique shop from here to like the Mississippi. So it must have been the single most popular design of the 1970s, and then by the 90s and 2000s, everybody was getting rid of it. Now, second shelf, you'll notice there's nothing too interesting up here, except I do have some of my grandmother's, again, little Pyrex, I call them like little measuring bowls, but they're not. Like if I'm making a cake or something and I've got separate ingredients that I need to add to the batter or whatever at separate times, I go ahead and put them in these little bowls. I particularly like the fact that she also had a bigger set of them, and these are also really handy. Now these next two shelves, you'll notice that I say this is my grandmother's quite a bit. She was so thrilled that someone could use her vast collection of kitchen dishes, because she used to cook so much when I was growing up. For church functions, if people were sick, she would cook them complete meals and take them over to their house. If our church had singers, they would be invited over to her house and she would cook them complete dinners for them. If there was any kind of guest speaker at their church, the same would happen. She would take them home and feed them a big meal. So she had so much kitchen stuff, just gadgets and pots and pans and dishes, and people would gift them to her because they knew that she loved to cook so much. And so while we did end up giving away parts of it, so like other family members and stuff like that wanted it, I was able to keep several pieces for myself, and she was thrilled that I actually had a way to reuse them instead of just getting rid of them. Now these up here are all a collection of different Pyrexes and Fire King. These I actually picked up from yard sales. These are my favorite because you'll notice they have two sides to them, so you can put two different kinds of food in there. I enjoy that. Now I have another little collection of ovals here. This was my grandmother's that I'm not really sure what she did with this one. Probably just served vegetables or something in it, I would imagine. I've got like a little blueberry design. I love this one. I'm assuming from the colors and the design that looks to me like a 1970s design, but I absolutely love it with all the little vegetables. It looks so natural and organic. And if you're wondering what all these little cats are, these are actually chopstick rests. So while you're eating with your chopsticks, in between bites, you can set your chopsticks down and the little kitty cat will keep them off the table. Now, I'm not very proficient with chopsticks, but this right here is my incentive to keep trying. Now here, this is actually my grandmother's. This is an Anchor Hocking, and I believe she actually must have used this one because it does have a little bit of wear on it. But this baby is my favorite. I still have the original box that she had this in because I don't think she ever used it. I'm sure it was a gift of some kind, but I've seen this particular design on eBay, and it's not cheap, especially when it has the plate and the lid. So I'm not sure why she never used it. It might have been one of those things she thought it was too pretty. Maybe she just used it once on special occasions. I have no idea, but she had the original box and it was in great condition. Now, top shelf is usually reserved for things that I don't use a whole lot because if you notice, trigger warning if you have vertigo, I'm standing up pretty high on this counter, and that's kind of the bad thing about tall cabinets. You know, you can't really reach some of the things that you might need out of them. So I try to just do very special dishes up here, things that I barely use. But right here is my absolute favorite stack because these are all my grandmother's and they're all very unusual. I absolutely love these little dishes. This one has really cute little butterfly motif all the way around. I especially love the little legs on this one. So I'm guessing you would probably put this on your coffee table and you'd have nuts on one side and mints on the other for when your guest arrived. We've got this little relish dish, but you can see it's got the little divider right here. So again, you could probably put nuts and mints, but these two are my particular favorites. So you're supposed to put your celery sticks here. You've got some olives in the corner, and look at the little pickles. I absolutely love that. If I was still giving parties, I would totally do this. And then you have this really pretty tray. You can see this is actually a fruit tray. And guess what? You'll notice that, and I have no idea why my grandmother had so many of these. Again, I'm guessing gifts, maybe? And she just didn't get to use them all. But here's another little divider for your coffee table. Again, probably nuts and mints. Or maybe for a modern incarnation, I don't know, M&Ms and Skittles. That would be kind of what I would want to see on a coffee table. Again, another little divided plate. I'm gonna have to ask my mom and see if she remembers seeing any of these. I don't even know if they had a coffee table. I know they didn't when I was growing up. So maybe this is something my grandmother only did in the 50s and 60s. I have no idea. I've got little teapots hiding up here, and if you'll notice here, I've got a creamer and a sugar bowl that matches the Pyrex dish set that I've already showed you. And yes, they do actually go together, but I bought them separately. So this one I found in a yard sale, and then several years later, I found the creamer at a flea market. Now here, nothing too exciting, except I do have a few pieces of Fiesta. This is actually it because, as you probably know, Fiesta is so expensive. These I did not pay hardly anything for, but Fiesta is just getting higher and higher. Now, nothing too exciting down here. I do have a few unusual kind of antique bowls that I use. I got those from yard sales and just kind of really liked the look of them. And then this bowl right here in particular is from Greenfield Village, which if any of you are from Michigan, know that that is the best place ever, in my opinion, in the entire state. Wow, it's getting really rainy and violent out there. Now for this area right here, this is one of my I'm actually really blessed with great counter space. You can see I've got a monumental amount of working space, and that is absolutely perfect for me because, as you know, I cook a lot and I spread out quite a bit. But this area I transform into tea time when I'm doing that kind of filming. I have my teas here, and if you notice the countertop looks different, that's because my husband again fixed a problem for me by making this really nice little wooden faux countertop that I actually put on top here. And the reason being, we have an awning outside this window, which makes it very hard to see sometimes in some light. And I noticed while filming over there the first couple of tea times, it looked really kind of dark, and it was hard for you guys to see the actual product on top of the counter, like if I was making cookies or whatever. And it looked really cold and kind of uninviting in that particular light. So he made me the little wooden countertop, and it really fixed that, I think, very well. It warmed it up and it makes it a lot more inviting. Now, as for what I keep in these cabinets that are near the sink, so as you know, we don't have a pantry in this house. So most of what I keep in here is foodstuffs, just dried beans, vinegars, that kind of thing. So I did promise to show you something that is not very organized. On one side, it's not too bad. Let me turn the camera around and I will show you that one. Okay, so big reveal. See, not too bad. I got these little baskets from the Dollar Tree, and so I'm able to keep, some kind of order in here. And I've got all my vinegars, my sesame oils, all kinds of things that I may need at some point to do all kinds of recipes, because you never know what we're gonna make. And so that's not too bad. However, I do keep one cabinet that it seems like no matter what I do to it or how hard I try to keep it organized, it just doesn't. And so I don't know if it's cursed or possessed or if it's just me not being able to figure it out. I don't know. It's just messy and it seems like it's going to stay that way. So I will go ahead and show you that complete mess. Oh, I think it actually got worse since the last time I looked in here, and I don't know how that is, but it just seems to kind of breed in here and does its own thing. Now you will notice I do have some new teas in here that I bought at the farmer's market. This will be put on a tea time. This is actually a store that is local to Greenville, and the teas look really, really good. She blends and dries and grows all the things herself, so this should be really cool. But aside from that, it's chaos. Now, what to do with that chaos, I have no idea. I do use all that stuff because I do bake, so, it's just the fact that you're not using a whole lot of it at a time, and so it just kind of tends to stay in there forever. Now, I did think of one fun series for the channel that I think would help me use up some of these ingredients and kind of maybe clean that cabinet out, and it would be mystery meal with a mystery ingredient. So I would have Mitch just randomly pick an ingredient out of the cabinet, and I would have to come up with something to do with it. And I think that'd be really fun, kind of like a cupcake war situation where they're suddenly given an ingredient that they have to figure out how in what way to use it. So if that's a series that you would like to see, like cleaning out this chaotic cabinet over here, mystery ingredient meal, then comment below and let me know and we can get started on that. Now I've got a few little treasures over here, like my picnic baskets. You'll also recognize this from my intro video, which this right here is the cookbook collection that started the whole shebang on YouTube. I had so many, but they're so fun and they're so cool. I can't really stand the thought of getting rid of them. Some of them, has been on the channel, and some of them are up and coming. And now here's another little treasure. If any of you are from Michigan, specifically the Downriver area, this label will probably look very familiar to you. If you look very carefully, it says Calder Brothers Dairy. Calder's was a dairy that operated in the Downriver area for many years. And I think this might still be true to this day, but I do know that in my childhood, they still delivered. So there was still a milkman that would go door to door and trade out your empty glass bottles for ones filled with fresh milk or cream. And now if you're wondering where I keep my tea things, I keep them in this cabinet right here, which is not in the kitchen, but rather in our kind of office computer room. So this gorgeous cabinet I actually picked up for a really good price at an antique store. So in here I keep, or at least try to keep, most of my tea things for the tea time videos corralled. You'll notice I do have some baking dishes that I use from time to time, but it's mostly for tea things. A lot of these, such as this right here, is depression glass from the 1930s. This is one of my favorites. This is a little Fire King, but I absolutely love the motif because it matches my kitchen. A lot of these dishes here, like you'll see, there's a depression glass. All of the depression glass I've actually borrowed from my mom, who was an avid collector of depression glass in the 80s and the 90s. Now these right here I just picked up for a couple dollars at a thrift store in Johnson City. Here it's got the little matching bowl, and I absolutely love that pop of green. Now here we are back in my craft room, but we're looking at the other side of it. This is where I kind of keep some of my extra food items if I've gone to Costco and that kind of thing, or if I see a big sale, buy one get one free at Publix, which I love, I'll go ahead and get that there. And now I am not a prepper. I just keep extra food items if I see it on sale, just in case, because I never know what kind of recipes I'm going to be getting into. And this is something I've never shown anyone, but I have a whole other collection of cookbooks that I keep in here that I use quite a bit. So I'm going to pan across these cookbooks, and if you see any of them that you would like to have a review done on the channel, go ahead and put that in the comment section below, and I will try to get that on the channel as quickly as possible. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed this unofficial kitchen tour on what turned out to be a really rainy and dark day for us here in East Tennessee. Hope it gave you a little sneak peek into what's going on behind the scenes in a cookbook collector's kitchen and some of the cookbooks that are going to be in future episodes. And don't forget, if you saw a cookbook in particular that you really want to see, go ahead and put that in the comments below and I will get right on it. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.